if it wasn't discrimination. And you have the nerve, you have the nerve to sit there on your high horse and preach to these bottom-feeding dwellers who sit in the chat room, like Alliance Blog, who's been doing this for over a decade and still only got 2,000 followers. Yeah, I see you. You're a jabroni and a ham sandwich, and I don't want to hear from you ever again about what the NWA is supposed to do. This is what pro wrestling is supposed to be. This is what the NWA is supposed to be. No. You don't tell anyone what the NWA is supposed to be, and you certainly don't lecture me about what the NWA is supposed to be. I made the NWA.
This is David Goldie, your World Wrestling Grand Prix champion, and you're listening to the Alliance Guys podcast. Building an alliance.
Will you join us?
It's showtime.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
You're not here, you missing out, because this show...
Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, listen up. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast.
I'm building an alliance.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. Now, typically I'm joined by my pal DKM and Jaden as we pontificate on pro wrestling. However, DKM's on assignment, so we have a fill-in for him tonight. Because not only do we have the famous journalist and commentator Rick Del Santo, we also have Jaden, promoter extraordinaire in terms of wrestling and talent, but we have the title champion of the Alliance Guys, Mr. Tim Wood.
What's up, fellas? Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And what can I tell you? I am the other Alliance guy. Also a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information around the National Wrestling Alliance, the United Wrestling Network, and various independents around the world.
That's good.
I think that stuff up in my sleep, Jay. It's so ingrained now.
I was going to say, do you have it written down somewhere?
No, it's all by memory. What's going on, fellas?
Well, let me be the first to say welcome back, Mr. Tim. It's been a while since we've had you here on the do we call it the premiere show? Do we call it the main show? What do we call this?
The mothership. Main roster.
The mothership.
You gotta get sued now.
Oh man. The main roster. Yeah, so this is the Alliance Guys podcast. And again, we were efforting very, very hard to try to get this on TikTok tonight. However, gremlins and technical snafus have prevented that from happening. So we're going to go without being on TikTok. We can still watch us on YouTube and on Twitch, which is where we're broadcasting live from. Our good pal, Lou Thez, is in the chat saying, good evening, ladies and germs. Only Lou could get away with saying stuff like that.
He's a good man.
He is a good man. So, it was 2 nights ago on the Roku Sports app, for those of us living in North America, Tim, that we finally have an opportunity to see this year's Crockett Cup 2025 from Philadelphia, basically filmed right as it was presented on Tuesday night. We had a tag team battle royal. We had the first round of the Crockett Cup, and we had a final, not just a qualifier, but the eliminator match to crown a new television champion. And I first want to just get Tim's opinion on this, because Tim, you've been on sabbatical from the NWA for, I think you just said before the show, about a year and a half, or just a straight up year.
A year and a half, tomorrow, since I kind of said that's it for me on the air and hung up the merchandise. And I'm wearing it today, though, as long as the NWA wasn't going to broadcast outside the U.S. and the CW. And yeah, first episode back yesterday. I don't know, better than I remember. I guess we can go through it, but B minus, I guess, is what my overall rating was. I love the opening video package. That stuck out in my head.
I feel like that B is a very fair grade. I gave it a little bit higher B, but B minus. I mean, it's still passing. The big thing that I want to tell you is you missed a lot of crap. You missed a lot of junk and a lot of garbage over that year and a half. We love the NWA here. We preach about how good of a product it could be and how great that roster is. But my Lord, there has been some stinkers that were mixed in with the last few year and a half of Power episodes. So maybe it's better that you did miss those shows.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I was missing it, Jay. Yeah, I mean, it's I was really surprised, because I keep up obviously with all kinds of pro wrestling, including the NWA just peripherally, and I tuned in. I'm like, hey, it's Jack Vaughn, and I thought nice little pleasant surprises like that. So, but yeah, I would agree. There's been a lot of stuff and nothing really to speak of that really sticks out in the 18 months I've.
And by the way, I want to publicly thank and acknowledge the generosity of Tim, Mr. Wood, who hooked your boy Jay up with milk mascara. So we were sitting front row, got some great seats at the Crockett Cup, courtesy of the Alliance North. Appreciate you, sir.
Yeah,
and
no problem, buddy.
What's that?
No problem.
Yeah, I would have much rather you been sitting there ringside, but I was glad to fill that void and to take those seats off your hand. Got some great footage. Did you guys see any of the videos that I posted on YouTube? Did you watch the Natty match?
I haven't seen that yet. That was the one match I was most excited for.
I posted it that night. I got talked into it. I wasn't going to. I was going to keep it like for the Alliance, and someone said, no, make it public, put it out there. I said, okay. I kind of felt guilty about doing it, but at the same time, I was like, well, the NWA is going to drag their feet to do it, so someone should.
Yeah. Dave's yeah. So in Canada, it was not easily findable. NWA Power. It wasn't on Roku in the main. It wasn't in the Roku channel. But James H. Jackson Jr. has been a good pal, and in the past over all this stuff, I think he wrote to Roku directly, and they said, "Hey, your friend can go here." Unless he wrote to the NWA, I'm not sure which it was, but he kind of screenshot how to get there, and I found it, so we got it. Yeah, it's strange that it wasn't just easily accessible, though.
Well, I feel like that's a bigger issue that the NWA and maybe Roku need to address, because part of this platform is it's a North American platform, so why wouldn't you be able to access it? Yeah. There shouldn't be any kind of restrictions.
Yeah.
So overall, B minus. Rick and I actually got to do Rick's podcast. We recorded on Tuesday and it aired on Wednesday. And I feel like we both kind of felt the same thing. And Rick, don't let me put words in your mouth. Overall, what did you think of this week's Power?
I was very shocked at how good the actual show was compared to everything that had happened over the last couple of years. I had so much fun watching it. The production values had gone up. The action was pretty consistent. And the in-between stuff, as we discussed on the show, was less painful than it had been since those Alabama tapings. They were actually, I wouldn't say enjoyable, but they were not as painful. to watch. They were quick, they were short, and it was like Tim said, it was a nice surprise. And I brought it up on my show that Jack Vaughn was on the show. That kind of surprised me, and it was a nice. It was a good treat to see him on the show, and my buddy Fox Vineyard on the show as well in the Battle Royal. It was the most consistent show that they had in a very long time, I think.
Don't forget to tell everybody, Jay, we had those Vox Vineyard Crockett Cup shaped sugar cookies that were pretty good.
Oh yeah, I actually made a post on Instagram about that. His I'm not going to assume that it's his girlfriend, but his partner made these sugar cookies, and they were shaped like the Crockett Cup. And I didn't actually eat mine there. I saved it and ate it when I got home back in California. But one of the other things that they did with that is they had put like a little 3x3 photo of Fox with his signature on it. So everybody who bought a cookie essentially got an autographed photo included. And I thought, what a great way to market yourself. What a great way to get yourself out there. You added value without even really, I didn't even know who Fox, it's Vineyard. I didn't know who Fox Vineyard was when I got there. And I had this autographed photo of him. He was in the ring and I didn't know who he was. And apparently he was at the anniversary show the year before, or
yep. He was part of the
9 months
match
before.
at 76.
So, I mean, I think that's really cool that he added value to fans who bought cookies. Like, look at that. And now, like, I actively went and subscribed to his YouTube channel, followed him on Instagram. So, I mean, that little gesture made a fan.
And I told them very specifically, the lady, who I believe was his girlfriend, told her she should add the little QR code to his photo, so that now they could add everything like a link tree of some sort, like on the aprons of the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators ring.
I saw those. That's brilliant. Well, I think I'm going to do that on the t-shirts, like maybe put it on the shoulder or something.
Put it on the back. Right around the shoulder blades area. Anybody?
Anyone's taking a picture of the show and the link pops up on their camera. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What better way to be hated than that?
No, it's great. One of the reasons about anybody taking photos with the dog ring, because of the QR code, especially when the ring aprons are straight, which is harder to make it happen than you realize. But when the ring apron is straight, anytime you take a picture, it comes up. So I know for a fact, dog has a lot of people added themselves during the 5 days we did the Monmouth Fair, even though it wasn't as good because of the guardrails didn't allow it to be as easily accessible.
Did you know that there's a way that you can literally put a link to your subscription button on YouTube, so that when someone hits that link, it'll ask them if they want to subscribe? Not like click here to watch the channel. It's like, do you want to subscribe? And I'm guilty of using that more than once.
I will have to figure out, since I'm the technical guy, how to do that for the link tree. Because all you have to do is change the link, and it'll still come up on the link tree.
We'll talk offline. I know a guy who knows a guy.
If Dog does add any more social medias, it'll be able to add it to it too.
Now, Jaden, you were there. You were at the event. Did you also watch on Roku, or did you just remember from being at the event?
Well, I do partially remember, because I did watch some of it, and some of it I didn't remember happening. Like some of the spots, I'm like, I don't remember that. But happened. I can say I watched the tag match, and I watched most of the television title match until Billy Corgan's commentary just made me not want to watch anymore.
That's
the most NWA on television I've watched in probably over a year.
You and Tim both.
Yes, he watched more than I did, though. He watched from beginning to end.
Okay,
I watched. Because I have Roku. I don't know if you know this. You can get Roku on your phone and tablet too.
Yes.
You don't have to have it. And I had it on my phone because there used to be a really great Godzilla channel that came on. and I loved it. And it was just all the Godzilla movies. Just basically, it would play everything, including the one from America that wasn't legendary. So everything except for -1 and the legendary ones, it plays on that channel. And I used to watch it, just random, whatever happened to be a Godzilla movie that just come on, I'd watch it. And often it also had Mothra and other Godzilla kaiju, including the Battle of the Gargantuans.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it. All right. So then, what did you think of the little bit that you did see on Roku versus, and include what you saw when you were there live?
Well, I think the first match was the Battle Royal, and then the Slime Balls taking on Pro Force Trauma, but I didn't see that from that point. I remember the match, and I remember it was the first time that the Slime Balls ever showed me anything that impressed me. Like I almost became a Slime Balls fan, almost.
It's funny because I think Rick and I had that same conversation about not really being too involved with the Slime Balls. They weren't a tag team that I was excited to see, and I wouldn't put them in the same category as Carson Drake, but it was a team that I was like, all right, I'm done with these guys. And then we saw them at the Hard Times, the finale of Hard Times, where they really got beat the hell up by Trevor and Mike Knox. And you're like, wow, those guys really took an ass whooping. Look at them go. And then we go to the Crockett Cup. And in that first match of that Battle Royal, they looked like they were going to get eliminated there right at the end. And then we're able to pull it out. And then took that ass beating by Blunt Force Trauma. And it really made me feel like there might be something more to the Slime Balls. I kind of like them. And that's hard for me to admit because I did not like them when they first got there. Tim, did you even get to see the Slime Balls before you walked away for a while?
Well, I mean, I admit to watching clips here and there in the background. Don't tell anyone. So yeah, I have. I wasn't a fan either. I find them. At first I thought it was going to be very much as Jeremy, I think, pointed out to me, like a Nasty Boys kind of team.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be something like that, and it turned out to be much more over the top and very throwbacky to a time and geographic place in wrestling that I was not a fan of, like the style and the cartoony kind of gimmick. And but yeah, I mean, there was something there at the end of that match and seeing them win in the first round. I agree. There was something within that team.
So I'll get into a little psychology in a second, but to talk about the rest of the Crockett Cup that I did see, the production was much better. Billy wasn't horrible at first, but the more I listened to him, the more I wanted to throw him into a wood chipper.
I barely noticed he was there for the first couple matches, to be honest with you.
That's probably why he was better.
It wasn't until the main event that I was like, dude, you're still on commentary. So
yeah, I'm not as big a fan of Danny Deals as commentary, at least not the little bit I heard this time. He seemed too much like he was trying to get himself over. So I wasn't as big fan. He might be better. It just might have been this particular thing, or it might have been Billy Corgan annoying the shit out of him. I don't know. But I wasn't as big of a fan. I have been a proponent for Alex Misery before anybody else did. And I think in this match, Alex Misery, who has a much better tag team partner in Crazy Steve, I like that combination, and he impressed me more than I saw something in him, and he showed it. And Peanut Butter Smooth, and also called Zippy the Pinhead, and EC3, they were a lot better than, that's the best I've seen EC3 in NWA, and he looked very good. And he lost the supplement gut, and he lost some of the muscle mass, and I think that's paid benefits in him. It paid dividends because he's definitely looking better. And then the singles match, I don't hate Brian Idol like the rest of you guys do. I don't think he's that horrible. I don't think he's that good. He's just kind of better than Bleh. I don't like Carson Drake at all. It's just whatever. But that match was a lot better than I think anybody thought it would be.
Yeah.
Why don't you like Carson Drake, Jaden? Just out of curiosity, what turns you off?
Well, start off. He doesn't know what beta alanine is. That's an inside joke.
Okay.
It popped me.
He doesn't have a serious physique for what he's trying to do. He comes off playing a character instead of actually being a gimmick. And that's people don't understand. We say the word character, and that's the problem is they say the word character, so they think of it like as a movie character. The problem is that you don't have characters in wrestling to be successful. You have a gimmick, and a gimmick is the natural extension of yourself, an amplified extension of yourself. Unless you're Daredevil Dave Dahl, and then it's actually your real life personality turned down to 7.
Sorry, Dave Dahl jokes get me.
Yes, unfortunately, they don't get him put into a pit somewhere that's real bottomless. But it's just he doesn't come off as genuine. He comes off as somebody trying to play a obnoxious pro wrestler. It doesn't come off as somebody who isn't obnoxious. And his wrestling style is there's a lot of things that if he could fix, he could be good and entertaining, but he's relying on what he has and not necessarily trying to make it money worthy. He's just trying to make it as a gimmick. The dance too, yeah. I mean, the dance. Here's another thing too. If he was the only goofy thing in the NWA, I think he would be a lot more over and a lot more valuable to the NWA. But he's just one of many stupid, goofy gimmicks that aren't realistic, that aren't real personality. They're just people pretending to be something, and that's the problem I have.
Right. No, fair.
Do you have a different opinion, Tim? Do you find him to be a good talent or a bad talent, or what are your thoughts on?
I feel almost exactly like Jaden does. Like it's a character he's playing. If you're, he's good at playing the character, but you can kind of see right through the fact that it is a character. So I would agree. I wondered if that's what you were going to say, Jaden. But for the NWA and the what they're offering. Throughout the programming, throughout the roster, not the worst thing on the program.
I mean, so when I look at Carson Drake, just to kind of echo a lot what Jaden said, I don't even feel like he buys into the character. You know what I mean? And I feel like he's trying to do too much with that character. Is he supposed to be the suave, sophisticated, upper elite, rich guy? Is he supposed to be, like a sorority boy or something, like a college sorority guy or fraternity or whatever it's called? I think I got it backward.
You just made him a girl. So
well, that's fine. He's a girl.
Yeah.
He reps Huntington Beach on his shoulder. And being from California, I have two problems with that because if he's from California, I've never seen him wrestle out here in Southern California. I also don't believe he trained out here in Southern California. So it's an interesting idea that he was raised in SoCal and then decided to go to the Midwest to train for pro wrestling. Well, we have two very well-established schools that have literally sent talent to the WWE. I'm kind of confused as to why he would opt to go train under EC3 in the Midwest as opposed to, training with the Santinos or Jesse Hernandez here in Southern California. So that was something that's always kind of plagued me. Like, why make that move? Not that that's a bad thing, but just, again, another reason not to like the guy.
He also has a Brock Turner vibe to me. And yeah, he just comes across as that type of person.
Tiptoe around the rest of the statement, please.
Yeah, but he just comes across that kind of person. That's what I get. That's the vibe I get from him. You know what I mean?
No, I do 100%, and I don't disagree with that feeling either.
Instead of Zach Morris, which I think sometimes he tries for.
And you know what? Maybe if he was Zach Morris, it'd be a little bit more enjoyable. Maybe if he was like the, I don't know. I still feel like he doesn't play the character the way he should. And I feel like he doesn't buy into what he's doing either. Like the dance, okay, maybe he is into that. I don't know. But like everything else, it just seems very...
He's like the body of a pudgy Zach Morris with the personality of Screech.
You know who his body type reminds me of? Who was the guy that set up the concussion protocol for the WWE? Came out of Tough
Chris
Enough.
Harvard, Chris Nowinski.
Yeah, Chris Nowinski.
Chris Nowinski. Yeah,
he very much reminds me of Chris Nowinski with less charisma
and ability.
Wow.
And obviously, Chris Nowinski knows what Beta Allen he is.
I'm sure he does. He's like Harvard educated, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so then let's just kind of get to it. Let's talk about some of the matches. We kind of been dipping in and out, but let's get right to it. First, we had the Battle Royal. I think I have a clip. Do you guys want to see a clip? Can I play a clip?
Sure.
I don't know. Can you?
There was somebody cheering for Eric Smalls to get stomped on by Jack Vaughn. What a jerk. Whoever said that must be a real asshole.
I don't know. It sounds like he was having a little fun.
I think he was having too much fun. Some other interesting notables who were in that tournament, or the Battle Royal, I should say. We also, besides Jack Vaughn and the JV squad, we also had South Philly's finest former dog tag team champions. See, I know my dog history.
Two-time dog tag team champions, by the way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, they were still former. Even if they're 2 times, they're still former. Then they're also in the crowd. Mr. Grimm's was there. There were a few other teams. The Temple of Dun was in the Battle Royal, but they got eliminated quickly, thankfully.
Good.
Yeah, and one of the things I would say that I feel like they missed out on an opportunity is that they didn't include some of the more well-known tag teams in the territory system. We didn't see the Heat Seekers make their return to the NWA. We didn't see the I forgot what their names are, but the Stew Crew from Joe Kazana Promotions. I felt like they should have had an opportunity to be in there. You have tag team champions in Exodus Pro. You have tag team champions in St. Louis with WLW. None of those guys were there. So I just kind of felt like those were missed opportunities. You didn't necessarily need to bring in new tag teams who had no connection to the NWA when you had guys in the territory system that I think could have done just as good, if not a better job.
Another thing, just for a suspension of disbelief, if Sinister Minister was a good manager in real life, he would have had his other tag team, the other 2 members of his whatever the heck they're called.
The Lost.
Yeah, I'm lost on why they're there. But he should have had his other tag team in that Battle Royal at least to get another shot to win double his odds. Even Paul Jones had the Powers of Pain and Dick Murdoch and Ivan Koloff. And that's Paul Jones.
The finish of that, obviously, when you guys were watching it, little Sage from the Slime Balls was able to hit I guess it was like a Hurricane Rana into the ring, and then was able to use his momentum to knock out Jack Vaughn out of the ring to eliminate them last. So that was the winner, was the Slime Balls from the Crockett Cup. I guess they called it the David Crockett Memorial Battle Royal, which is weird because a couple years ago they were calling it the what did they call it? What did they call the tag team? Man, my brain just went to crap right now.
Talking about the wild card?
Yeah, the wild card. No, they didn't call them the wild card, though. What did they call them? I guess it is wild card.
Yeah, I thought it was the wild cards. Is that what they were called?
Yeah. Wow, my brain just totally like rebooted right there.
You know, some would be great right now. Some Lion's Mane for you, and some Alpha GPC, and some phosphatidylserine.
Yeah, send it. Then immediately following this match, we had Blunt Force Trauma, who were, you know, if you were to ask me early on and sitting there next to Jaden, I thought for sure Blunt Force Trauma was going to win this match and put an end to those whole Slimeball City stuff. You know, Carnage and Damage enter the ring. Do I have a video of that? I don't know if I do. No, I don't think I do. I felt like this was a missed opportunity for that tag team. Like, I don't know. And I'll ask you guys questions. I'll ask you guys the same question. Was this a blown opportunity? Should they have had somebody else in that place? Or is this just the signal of the end for Blunt Force Trauma? Like, is it time to move on from that gimmick? Is it time to break up Carnage and Damage? Timmy, I know it's been a while, but you're familiar with BFT. And what did you think of this matchup? And what did you think of them as a tag team? Is it time to split them up or keep them around?
I mean, keeping in mind I haven't watched them for a year and a half. I don't know. I wouldn't be that guy. I liked them a year and a half ago. They were one of the bright spots to watch in the NWA. I would assume that they took the loss in that match because, you know, they can get something out of it with, you know, separating from Aaron Stevens or, you know, separating from each other or whatever it might be. I assume there's something for them that would, you know, warrant losing to the Slime Balls in the first round. In case we don't talk about it, though, and I'm going to forget this, you know what took me out of it on the show after this was the outside the arena interview by the Slime Balls. Like, oh, we beat BFT and now we're going to beat everybody else. I'm like, what are you doing outside the arena right now? Like, I don't buy that this wasn't pre-taped a week ago or whatever. It took me completely out of the whole thing.
It's funny. Just if I could retell the story, in my car, my rental car, I had Jaden and Big Chris Dog, and we were trying to find parking in the venue. And last year that I was at the 2300, I was able to park in the back parking lot. This time we pulled in the same exact way, and we saw Rhino out there, we saw Trevor, we saw Slime Balls, and I think we probably just drove past them right either before or after they cut that promo, because I can vividly see them walking around very similar to what we saw. So obviously it was filmed before the show and probably the day of. But that kind of took me out too, because they just got their butts kicked. Whether they won or lost is kind of irrelevant. They got their butts kicked. They were super excited and fresh and didn't look like they had it didn't look like they just got their butts kicked for an hour.
Yeah.
Rick, we talked about this on your podcast, but let's share it here. Your thoughts on the Alliance Guys show. What did you think about this?
I thought that this was very fun. And as I said, that this got me excited for these Slime Balls. What they're going to do with them afterwards, God knows. Is it time to break up Blunt Force Trauma? They're going to have to build it up, I guess. But they don't seem to be as prominent as they were a year and a half ago or so. They seem to be jobbing quite a bit to lesser known teams and teams that are less important. But so probably, I'm guessing that it's probably time to, but unless they just, decide to turn it around and rebuild them, which I think that they're one of the great teams in the NWA currently.
And Jaden, you were there live, and you've been hearing about Blunt Force Trauma for the last year. What did you think about this match, and what do you think about them as a team going forward?
I think they should break them up, and they should strap a rocket to the younger member of Blunt Force Trauma. Because
did there,
I think the potential. I like. I'm down with the Mac on the other member, but I don't think he has much time left in the business. He is a veteran, and I have always been a fan with him back in the Red Dog days. But I think it is his time to possibly maybe move to transition to being just a producer or something else. and let the younger one just maybe go off on his own and maybe become a single star. For a change, I'm actually advocating for Billy Corgan to break up a tag team.
Which is kind of ironic because you're the one that's always pointing out that that's what his pursuit is to break up tag teams.
Alex Misery, if you're still listening, by the way, your tag team with Crazy Steve is the best combination from that group. Please talk them into staying it, because I don't know how often you guys teamed. I think it may have been the first time, but there was some chemistry with you guys, and that tag team is possibly a U.S. tag and maybe even world tag team champions if promoted properly. At least United States tag, though.
Well, and so I just for giggles, I just looked up the artist who is underneath that mask, because I do remember him wrestling against Steve Corino and I believe Dan Severn when Severn was world champion and Corino was the North American champion. So it's kind of ironic to me that he was wrestling, back for the world title back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So I'm not saying that he can't still be a contributor to the show, but I feel like, kind of like Tim Storm, his best days are behind him. And I know nobody wants to just kind of end their in-ring career. It seems like it's very rarely these days you see somebody actually retire and stay retired. But I feel like Carnage could really have a good run as a singles competitor. And in this match, I felt Damage. This was the first time that Damage looked his age, if that makes sense.
Tremendous shape, but he's 3 months older than me, and or 2 months older than me. So I mean, he's the guy under the mask is 54, and it happens to everybody.
Right, and again, he probably still has a few more years in ring wrestling, but I feel like this is still Carnage prime time, and we could still see something positive with Carnage, instead of being with a tag team that might not get another look. But I again, it was a great coming out party for the Slime Balls. And again, I feel like it, and maybe it was because we were in the 2300 arena, but I kept getting those vibes back to ECW when Tommy Dreamer was being baptized with a kendo stick, or Singapore cane, I guess is what they want to call it, to adapt to the hardcore wrestling style that was ECW. And I'm not saying that was this, but I felt like it was kind of similar in that you had to see Sage and Tommy get beat up so that they could be baptized in the 2300 arena, baptized in violence, so that maybe they could take that next step as a tag team. At least that was my thoughts on it. Then next up, we had the matchup with, like Jaden was alluding to earlier, we saw the Lost, Alex Misery, and Crazy Steve, also flanked by the Sinister Minister, Gags the Gimp, and Lev were all out there as well. And they were taking on the team of Exodus Pro, which was PB Smooth and Tyler Durden, EC3. And the entrance, and Jade, you can back me up on this one. Did it not feel like a Fight Club when they were walking to the ring?
Well, I can tell you about that, but I'm not supposed to talk about Fight Club.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Yeah, I was about 10 minutes late for Fight Club, and I didn't hear the first couple of rules, but I think Fight Club's going to be great, and everyone should know about it.
Bunch of swell guys, just trying to, do the thing, be men, be manly men. I always felt like EC3, when I watched him in TNA, when I watched him in NXT, I always felt he was very Tyler Durden-esque. And then even when they came out with the Control Your Narrative, it very much felt like wrestling's version of Project Mayhem. And, I'm sure that was by design. I'm sure he borrowed from that. In fact, I think, and I'm going to look it up now, but I believe early on his career, EC3 had his name was something like Mike Durden or something like that. And let me see.
Kyle Davis, right?
Oh no, that's Kyle Durden. Okay, his name was Derek Bateman, which was a paid
there you
homage to
go.
American Psycho, but it still had this feel like he was kind of being a Tyler Durden version of Ethan Carter III, I guess. Anyways, long story short, I felt that intro was really cool, and it took me back to watching Fight Club, and I the reaction that they got from the fans too, like, you know, EC3 has never been super over with that NWA crowd. In fact, because of how he's been, it's you know, when he was a face, it was kind of lukewarm reactions. As a heel, it was more like go away heat. I feel like this time I felt like he really got a pop when he came out in the arena with PB Smooth and Pastor CeeLo, and the match itself was pretty good. And like you know, we were talking, Rick and I on his show, that there seemed to be a lot of the match kind of slowed down, but watching it live, I felt like it was very fast paced, and Crazy Steve and Alex Misery really were just bumping and selling for both EC3 and PB Smooth, and it made them look like a even better tag team because they had Misery and Steve going so hard for them. I thought this was a great match, and it really made the victory seem like a big one because, again, Misery and Steve looked really good in the ring together. So, Jaden, you were there live. What did you think about this match?
Again, I was on the Alex Misery. I was telling you guys to keep an eye on him. There was something more to him. I think he was held back when he was wrestling against Jack Roundoff or Jack Backflip or whatever his name is. I think he was held back because he's a junior heavyweight and he's got some good style, but I think he's got a tag team mentality. Something about him just he works. I can see him in a tag team. It just works well. And Crazy Steve, which I'm not sure if you guys know this, he's legally blind.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, screw you all then. But he is he's more talented than people give him credit for too. He is one of those guys that I think is the clown gimmick and the menagerie or whatever it was that he was part of. He doesn't get the credit. He is more talented than people give him credit for. And again, I don't know if it's the first time they've teamed, but it looked like they were a regular tag team. And I like that a lot. I think that tag team hopefully will stay around and will be the main focus of Sinister Minister's group. I think they should get rid of the other two and maybe bring in somebody who could be a bigger guy that can be used as somebody like that's actually used well. And I don't mean Talos or anything like that. I mean like a guy who can be used as the big muscle of the group, the Terry Gordy of the group.
Yeah.
And I think that could work really, really well if they do something like that. And that's what I would like to see. Then imagine them versus the Southern Six.
There you go.
With a bigger guy. Was Frank originally in that group?
Yeah, Frank was a part of the Sinister Ministers group. The Ill Begotten? No.
Yeah.
That's not it.
That's it.
No, the Ill Begotten was Jeremiah Plunkett's group with Alex Taylor. The Miserably Faithful.
That's right.
That's these are none. You don't want to be miserably faithful or ill begotten. So
no.
They should take the mess maybe off of Zion and have him work more of his original gimmick, and I think that would actually work better. Alex, tell Billy to stop booking and have me do it. I'll have you guys over, and you guys will be super over and tag champs, at least United States tag team champions. So instead of Joe Kazan as president of the territories, just have me take over the NWA.
I'm sure he can make that happen for you. Rick, what did you think of this match?
I thought it was fun. It did slow the pace down compared to the first portion of the show, I thought. And, it did, like I said on my show, it said that the crowd quieted down a little bit for this. But there were definitely some people very interested in it. I enjoyed it overall, and I really thought that the Lost were a really great tag team. And that's pretty much it. I'm still not, after all these years, I'm still not sold on EC3. That's all I got to say about that. So years and years and years of watching him. I just, he has done nothing for me. PB Smooth, big dude. That dude is a big dude. And, I never really saw him before, but I really kind of enjoyed his appearance here. And like I said, it was a pretty decent match.
I bet you that man dreams in 4D.
Now, Tim, obviously this is the first time you're seeing, I believe, Misery in the ring, because I don't think you missed what he's done before.
Yep.
And then you're seeing Crazy Steve, who I think this is the second time he's worked for Billy Corgan's NWA. And then you saw you were familiar with EC3, obviously, but I think this might have been the first time you saw PB Smooth. What were your take on the tag teams? What did you think of the match? And is EC3 over in your opinion?
Well, so yeah, looking at this, I guess with the freshest eyes in the room here, the biggest pop EC3 ever got was when we watched him at 75 take the NWA title from Tyrus.
That's true.
That wasn't because of EC3. That was because we were done with Tyrus a year earlier than that. And for me, I'm with Rick on this one. He's never quite been there for me. It feels like with EC3 that he's always this close in my mind of coming across with something that you can latch onto and go, okay, that's cool. I want to follow that. I want to be part of that. Control Your Narrative was like, again, this close. Like you got what he was trying to do a little bit, but it was never clear, and it was lost in the whole purple monkey dishwasher haze that he operates through. Like, I don't know. But to what Jaden was saying before too, he looked great, and you put him in a tag team now, and I mean, I don't know if he gets heavy mic time or not. Give him a little bit less, because he looked good in the ring. He's a good general for PB Smooth, I don't know how long that guy's been active. He looks a little green, but I mean, look at the size of this guy. There's something you gotta try it out, and it was good. They look like a good tag team out of Exodus Pro. And on our B show, we've been going around the territories, and we spent some time in there, and there's certainly something there. And the Lost, having seen them for the first time, I've seen Crazy Steve before many times, and I'm a fan. I like the guy. The Lost struck me as what the Miserably Faithful immediately should have been. Like, there's an interest there. There's an ability level there. Like, we always said this years ago, Jay. Like, I love the guy under the mask for Gags the Gimp, right?
Yeah.
Can we just lose this character, please? Can you just go and drop that character right off the bat? Like,
well, and like, let's be honest, like, trade one mask for another, like,
yeah, sure. Yeah.
The Gags, the character, the derivative of that is based in stuff that I wouldn't want my kids to watch.
Right.
I don't want them to know what that's about. So,
I think
like,
I've said that numerous times out on social media, and they continue to use it. I have kids, like my son and I used to sit down and watch the NWA every Tuesday night. He's 9 years old now. I wouldn't want him watching that gimmick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what's really terrible is, like, my oldest daughter, who's going to be 21 in August, we watched that guy wrestle when he was just starting out, the Rock Nest Monsters, and he was a very popular wrestler and one of my daughter's favorite wrestlers. In fact, the last time I dragged her to an NWA event was the Crockett Cup in Nashville, which I think was like 23, and she was able to see that wrestler for the last time without a mask on. And he even told me, like, the next night, he's like, I went to go hang out with a few people at the bar afterwards, and he happened to be there. And he's like, oh, well, I'm glad I got to see her one more time. She's probably not going to want to see me as my next character. Like, he even knew that.
Oh, no.
was going to be something different. And I asked for him to elaborate. And he was like, well, you'll just have to see. I would give anything to see him under a different gimmick because I still like the wrestler very much. And I would like to see him have lots of success. But I feel like not only was the gimmick never appropriate for a family show, but it's kind of run its course. It's not interesting. It's not even all that odd now. It's just, part of the flock. And I don't feel like it ever really, I don't think it was ever over. And I don't think it's doing anything now.
Right.
I don't think the Lost name works either. Again, I'm going to give you guys a trick. I would call you guys the Fallen.
I don't hate that either.
I think that's a better name than the Lost. I don't know why. It doesn't flow for what it is.
Well, also, it implies that there's no direction.
Yeah.
If you got Sinister Minister, he certainly should be providing that direction to that team. The team was good. There was a sense of like, I don't know if I'm going to use terminology that makes any sense, but there was like a sense on their part of almost like desperation, and they're here to fight. They're doing all the stuff getting their stuff in, but I enjoyed it. I thought they were good, and in a way that I never thought the Miserably Faithful were ever something I was into. Is Max gone, by the way? I haven't seen Max.
No, you'll see Max, I think, probably next week or maybe the week after. The Max was featured at Crockett Cup.
Still with this group or in another?
No. So Max and Father James Mitchell had a falling out.
Okay.
And Max clotheslined Father James Mitchell and essentially exiting the group. But you'll see more as obviously Power, if you continue to watch, Power will reveal itself to you. And with the Lost, I think part of that name is because they kind of have a gothic vibe to the group.
Yeah, so does the Fallen. There's plenty of gothic games.
Sure. I'm just saying, like the movie The Lost Boys. This is kind of what it.
They could be the Lost Boys then. I mean, there's two tag teams that use it, one in the 90s and one currently is using it. But if they're going to do that, why don't they use it? Or there's so many vampire movies they can do. There's so many. Hell, at this point, they should call it. What's the one with the girl sleeping with the dead man and the necrophiliac and the bestiality? What was that?
I think you're talking about Twilight.
Yeah, they call themselves Twilight. That's better than Lost.
Well, they'd have to put glitter on, and I'm not about that.
I can see them being glitter vampires.
Jeez, I'd rather not. That takes us to what would be the wait. Was this a clip? Hold on, let me pull this up real quick.
The monster.
So that wasn't the clip I thought it was, but nevertheless, that you guys got a taste of what BFT looked like. That brings us to the main event of the night.
I know it's Twilight, but it's still better than the Lost. The Fallen, there's the Monster Squad. Go pick up some 80s, movies, and I'm sure you can find Transylvania 3-5000 or whatever it was called.
He kicked Wolfman in the balls.
It's the Nards.
It's been like 30 years since I even saw the movie. Dave Scooby, what are you implying, sir? I have no idea what you're speaking of. And then that takes us, of course, to the main event, which I reluctantly, I have to admit that this wasn't a bad match. I do not like Bryan Idol. I am not a Bryan Idol fan. I think I said it on this very podcast when he showed up at Primetime Live, his first NWA-themed match. I said, wow, this guy's very wooden and laconic, and he has absolutely zero charisma. what did I even asked Dave Marquez, why did you book him? I don't know. Billy suggested him. I am still not a Brian Idol guy. I don't think there's anything that can happen that would make me enjoy him. He had two bright moments for me in the last year. The first one was this promo that he cut with Silas Mason, where, obviously Silas did a lot of the heavy lifting. And then the second time I really enjoyed seeing Brian Idol is when he dove through the ropes and Silas Mason hit him with a chair and broke his shoulder, broke his clavicle. I think that was my favorite Brian Idol moment since he's been in the NWA. So I wasn't really looking forward to this match. And again, if you were to go back and look at the win-loss record for Brian Idol as a singles competitor in the NWA, he hasn't really earned the opportunity to challenge for this title. And the fact that Carson Bartholomew Drake surrendered the title to cash in the Lucky 7 series to challenge for Tom Latimer, I don't feel like Carson Bartholomew Drake should have been in this match. Even though he's a former champion and he never lost the title, the fact of the matter is, once you surrender that belt, you're moving on to bigger and better things. It should have been somebody fresh, somebody new, somebody different. So for that reason, I was already kind of out on this match. But son of a bitch, those guys brought me back in. And here's a clip. It's not super exciting, but I That's the extent of how exciting that match was. No, actually, it was pretty good. And I hate that I have to say that. I kind of have to swallow my words here a little bit because Brian Idol and Carson Drake had a good match. I don't like saying that. It doesn't feel right. Rick, what did you think of this title match? What do you think of Brian Idol as your new television champion?
Ugh, gross. But honestly, this, like you said, this is probably the best Brian Idol match either of us have ever seen, and the best Carson Drake match we've ever seen. And then by this point, Billy started talking probably before the bell rang, and I was like, Jesus, I've had enough of his voice already today. That's the longest I've lasted in a NWA Power episode with Billy on commentary. All right, so it was an okay match. The back and forth was pretty good. And as I stated on the Pro Wrestling Wire show, that the ending just seemed to come out of nowhere. It wasn't a build-up really. It just seemed like, okay, here's the cover and it's over. And that's the part that really was confusing besides Brian Idol's braids. Outside of that, it was an okay match. It was a pretty good match for both of these guys.
So then Jaden, you were there live, and I think your sentiment on Carson Drake is something we all agree with. But what did you think of this match, and what did you think of Brian Idol as your new NWA World Television Champion?
I don't mind it, especially if he's going to be around the territories, wrestling and the different territories anyway. I don't agree that the TV title should be defended on anywhere but television. But if he can show up with the belt and have regular matches at these territories that he's topping with, I think that at least elevate him and the TV title. I don't hate him like you guys do. I don't think he's great, but he's better than I think you guys give him credit to. I think it's recency bias or some kind of bias you guys do have against him, and that's affecting your opinion.
Do tell.
Well, you don't like him, and you've completely stated him. The fact that you've even said it was a good match shocked me.
Yeah.
But I don't think he is as bad as people give him out to be. I don't think he's not glue drying or paint drying, but he's somewhat better than that.
It's like this much difference between paint drying and a Brian Idol match.
Maybe normally, I don't know, but again, I don't really watch him. But this a little bit I've seen, he's not as bad, and I just could not stand at all Billy Corgan on commentary. God, that's why I stopped watching the rest of the match because I already knew what was going to happen anyway. I just could not. It was bad. I have if I ran Power, I have so many ideas what I would do with Billy Corgan and maximize the stars. And I'm also going to say that if I was in charge of the NWA, this is not the first event I would have put on, especially with a new audience and everything like that. But it was okay. it was an okay match. It was better than I think it had the right to be, because I don't think Carson Drake's that good in the ring. So I think it was just better than it had right to be.
Timmy, what were your thoughts on this, and how do you feel about the new World Television Champion?
I have no feelings one way or another for Brian Idol. The Mercurio tights take me right back to, that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Get some new gear. He's never struck me as charismatic. I have no problem with his ability level, but there's no smoothness to it. There's nothing to really that stands out for me with that guy. He doesn't look like much, and as a heel, he was better than I think he was as a babyface. Even if you don't like Carson Drake, he might have still been the best choice for this match for that side of the ring, because oh my God, here he comes again. Is he going to win this title back? We're so tired of CBD. And but on the other side of the ring, it just felt like, is he being rewarded for whatever efforts he's made behind the scenes, or immediately? Not having watched it a year and a half, that's what I thought. And where is the baby face that I can get behind and and watch him sell and try to root for him, because he ain't this guy. So I don't really have to, I don't hate the guy or anything like that, but my goodness, there isn't a lot to love.
So just as you were talking, I was thinking about a couple things. First and foremost, I feel like the TV champion should be a guy that you're grooming for something bigger down the road. I feel like, and that title should not be stationary. I don't think it should be with anybody for very long. And I'm not proposing that the belt gets hot-shotted, but I feel like as a natural progression, as the prop that it is supposed to spotlight somebody short-term to grow them to be a potential challenger for the 10 pounds of gold, or just to elevate them on the roster. When I look at this guy and I see he's a goof.
Yes.
He's Billy's buddy. And, everything that I've ever heard about wrestling, you do moves that are telling a story. Like the whole thing about pro wrestling, and Jaden, out of the four of us here, you're the only one that has in-ring experience. You've been to wrestling schools. One of the things that I've always heard is that you're telling a story. Your moves matter. Your wrestling matters. You are a person. You are a vehicle to tell this story. And when I see a guy like Brian Idol, who's doing dives outside the ring, when he's a guy who's probably shouldn't be doing moves like that, it makes me scratch my head. Who trained this guy? You've been in the business for a very long time. This isn't his first rodeo. It's not even his third rodeo. And I just the connection to the audience, the connection to the wrestling. He is great at getting self-promotion. He's great at getting the NWA into venues that it's never been to before. But as far as being my television champion, I want somebody who I could build on. Not a guy who's, close to, either 40 or past. I don't feel like he's the guy. With that being said, the match was good. If I was booking the NWA, and I hate to say it, but I think it would make more sense if Brian Idol was the Mid-American champion, because he's already going to all the territories anyways. And that Mid-American title, although I love Jeremiah Plunkett and only want success for him, I feel like maybe if the Mid-American title was on Brian Idol, then he has a reason to go to the different territories and defend it. And at the same time could be evaluating potential upgrades to the roster through the territory system. He could wrestle those diamonds in the roughs and find those guys who could help grow the NWA brand. And in the meantime, that TV title, I think, should be held on somebody in the chat, we had Impact 88 mention Kerry, right? Kerry Morton. I'm kind of the persuasion that I think Daisy Kills would make a really good TV champion. I've heard other people mention Colby Carino because it's kind of a workhorse title, and Colby, got to give Colby credit. He can work. And I just feel like, I don't know, the match itself was fine, and I'm okay with Brian Idol having the title, and hopefully it's a very short reign, but he's not the guy I would have chosen. You guys disagree? Agree?
No. I mean, how many people do they have that are worthy of that title? Or could they put that title on? I mean, I know you mentioned Jeremy. The hell's the guy's name? Whoever you just
Daisy Kill,
Kerry Morton, and Daisy Kill. I'm not sure about Daisy Kill, but I mean Kerry Morton, I think would be that, and Colby Carino. It is a workhorse championship, so I mean, and Colby Carino could go out there and put on bangers as the champion.
Here's the problem, and I think Jay said it. He called the TV title a prop. If a title's a prop, it's not needed. A title, a championship should be the most important, is a member of your roster. Okay. That's what it should be. It's a member of the roster that doesn't leave. You always have your championships.
Right.
And that's what it needs to be treated as, a very important member of the roster. Most important. The world title is the most important member of the roster, and then, works its way down. Yes. So that's right there what it should be treated as. It should be treated as a living entity, something that's used to where you need to elevate it, and it elevates whoever holds it at the same time, and elevates the challengers that, there's a lot of things with the TV title I think I wouldn't do. I wasn't even sure if I would have it. I'd definitely get rid of the national. I'd give it a lot. I'd get rid of most of the titles in the NWA. But if I was using the TV title, there should be a challenger one week, and then the champion defends it the next week against that challenger. It should be that stupid 605 limit needs to go.
Absolutely.
It could be a 10 or 15 minute time limit. And that whole Lucky 7 also needs to go. The idea of the TV title, it should be a title that does change often, but it also is to elevate, to give somebody constant television time and or being mentioned, because if the number one contender wrestles on week 1 and week 2, they defend it. Now it's being mentioned week 1, and it's there's a match to get that shot, and then they get that shot. I think that's the way I would do the TV title if I was forced to. There are a lot of challengers that are for it, that are that should qualify for it, and I think anybody needs to be built up. That's what that title, because it means you're on television every other week and you're mentioned every week. So what a way to get yourself over as somebody important, then have that happen.
Now I'm gonna ask this question to everyone in the setting here. If the TV title needs to be on TV every other episode, is it time to pull the world title off of the at least the Power TV tapings? Not the signature live events, but the day in day out TV tapings in Tampa. Should they pull the world title off of those shows?
Can I say this one?
Sure.
I'm going to start off with this one if it's okay. Yes. The world title shouldn't be wrestling on television. You want to see the world title, you have to pay to go see it. Pay it on pay-per-view, pay it on to go see it at the arena. It should be something like that. The world champion should be there for promos. He should be there to be talked about by all the top challengers. Thurber needs to sit there in an interview and talk about why he wants that world heavyweight title. And Jeremiah Plunkett says that his title is a stepping stone to become the NWA World Championship. And Hammerstone and Wrecking Ball and anybody else that they're trying to, everybody who's anybody of any kind of significance and talent should be talking about what they want to be the world champion. And they're going to win the national title again, so they can eventually get a shot at the world title. They won the TV title, so they get a shot at the world title. They can mention them in two in that way, but the world title should be your ultimate goal, the be all end all of the NWA. And again, he could be there in promos, he could be there doing commentary, he could be there doing a backstage segment, not a skit, but a segment. But he should not be in the ring. It should be saved for an important event. That's the way Hogan almost, maybe in Sweeps Week, they'll bring a world title match out once or twice a year. Yes. As something special. But, and I don't know if Sweeps Week even still means anything on Roku. But he should only be there to wrestle very, very, very sparingly the Hulk Hogan style. How often did Hulk Hogan wrestle on any of the Saturday morning TV shows back in the day? And, we're going to mention him. He just recently passed, but that's what I believe should be, because the world title should be important. It should be something that's given very sparingly. So when you do get it, it's a big deal.
Rick, let's get your opinion on this one.
I agree with what Jaden's saying, that the NWA or the world champion should have very little TV time as far as actual action goes. However, but like, look at the NWA situation as far as their television had been for the last couple of years. They weren't doing pay-per-views or anything like that, so there was kind of what other choice did they necessarily have outside of just having them do promos and have possibly dark matches and stuff like that, and maybe wrestle that once or twice a year? They didn't really have much of a choice because of their television situation, it seemed. So it kind of made sense in a way. But I get everything that Jaden said is absolutely 100% correct. It's like, it's the build up on television with the promos, on the occasional match on TV, so that you can go and see the world championship match on that special live event, whether it be a house show. NWA doesn't do house shows, but house shows or pay-per-views, or have them as dark matches or something like that. You know what I mean? But just don't keep them on TV and save them for something special. You know what I mean?
And now, Tim, I'll throw it to you. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, listen, let me wrap it back into the TV title talk there, because I was freaking out when Jaden was saying everything I wanted to say. Get rid of that 605, so get rid of the national title. Goodbye. It like a year, more than 2 years ago, it was garbage. The way EC3 threw it down, and it was that title has been so disrespected, and also you don't need it. You don't need all these belts in the NWA. In a world of wrestling that is now littered with belts, doesn't seem to matter where you go anymore. Every promotion has 6-8 belts in it. Make something with the TV title special for television, and that way you can pull the world's title off TV. You can have him do the champ, do interviews, do face-to-faces with whoever he's going to do. Have a segment where one jumps the other, whatever it's going to be. If you're going to put the champ in the ring, I think do what they used to do with Aldous back in the other day, where he'd come out, he's going to defend the title against some schlub, and he'd win. And it's like Superstars of Wrestling from 1985. Macho Man's going to beat up Barry Horowitz. It's a 3-minute match, elbow drop, 1, 2, 3, it's over. You can show the champ that way. But that's just a lead into what should happen with that title off screen at pay-per-views. And sorry, I'm all over the place, but back with the TV title, get it off the signature live events, get it off pay-per-view, whatever it is. If you want to show your TV champion, bring him out during that event or have him wrestle in that event, but he's not defending that title. And we often talk, we have for years, about how the TV title should be this workhorse title, where I want it every other show, like you said. You just can't do it every show, but every other show, I want it to be get rid of the time limit, but make it something that you hold it for 3 weeks and then you've lost it in the 4th, and man, what a ride. And what 4 amazing defenses and in 2 TV tapings or whatever. This guy was fantastic. He should be looked at for the next level up, which I just think should be the world title at that point. I don't think you need the junior. I don't think you need the TV as it sits right now. It has to change, and I don't think you need the natty.
Okay, so now I can be the contrarian here. So when we're talking about the world heavyweight title, I think we're all in agreement that less is more. And it's weird to say that, because I felt like there were times where that title needed to be seen more frequently. But I think, to what Tim just said, Superstars of 1985, Tom should come out there, whip somebody's ass for like a minute or two, and call it a day. And because of the taping schedule, we know that there are power tapings that happen in Tampa, and then the signature live events. That's where they feed all of the live event content that they film. But in the last year, just for the NWA, I mean, they had those matches that were in New York back in. I guess that was last year. They did at the event at the Sacred Heart Academy in New York, where Tom defended the title against Brian Idol. And then, Tom's also defending the title on his independent dates, that's where the title's really being showcased too. Then earlier this year, back in February, they did 3 dates, 2 in New York, 1 in New Jersey, partnering with some other local promotions, the CEP and then Project Codename. That's when I feel like the title should be there. When they do the Sacramento Grilled Cheese Festival, I believe that's when the title should be there. And like I said, those signature live events, I have no problem with the world title being showcased at those events. But for TV, the regular Tampa TV tapings, I don't think you need to have Tom Latimer on those shows. And Tom is out there defending the title, like I said, on his independent dates. He's working with Maple Leaf. He's defending the title there. He's doing some of the territories. He's defending the title there. I don't think we need to see the 10 pounds of gold on Power every week or every month, just when it coincides with a signature live event. And again, Tom should still be around. He should be cutting promos or maybe working exhibition matches, but the title does not need to be defended on every episode of Power. As far as the national title goes, there are too many titles in the NWA. I can't disagree with that. By jettisoning the national title, I think you really do kind of make it a little bit. Again, the TV title will seem that much more important if you don't have a national title to go with it. And of course, they have that Mid-American title that Jeremiah Plunkett currently holds that is supposed to be the top title of the territories. I would like to see that title showcased a little bit more. We haven't seen it defended on Power at all. We barely see the national title defended on Power. Maybe there's a way that you could unify those two legacies, or again, like what Tim said and Jaden said, just get rid of it,
or send it out to the territories, or just get it off TV.
They have all these championships, the titles, but they only have a 45-minute show or 1 hour, whatever you want to call it. So I guess utilizing it like they did with the United States tag titles, it made it a territory title. You know what I mean? Which I'm guessing on occasion they'll pop back up on the main show. And there's just not enough television time for them to have all these champions. And now, and the roster isn't even that deep either as well for the actual NWA Power roster, because now you have champions holding 2 belts, some of the talent, because it's not a deep enough roster to where, and it's just, you watch the show or the events and it's like title match after title match after title match, and that's not necessarily, it should just be a little bit different. They need to spread it out, explain it more, maybe add to the roster, maybe add a secondary program, which I think that we talked about before, that they need to bring a secondary program back. Like NWA USA, it was more to showcase the junior heavyweight championship and a slightly different roster, and it was a fun show.
Got it, Tim.
I was just going to say, for the national title, if you think about it, it hasn't meant anything since Trevor Murdoch held it in 2020. So you had Chris Adonis win it, I think in 2021. And I've got something here in front of me that I just pulled up. He wins it in 2021. He vacates it to get into that battle royal to get a shot at the NWA World title. Then they put it right back on him when he defeated JTG, right? Ends up losing it to Crimson, to Anthony Mayweather. You got, a couple of, I've lost it again. Where is it here? The last 3 champions or 4 champions, when you get past Jack Stain, rest in power, Scion EC3 vacates it to get his shot at the world title. Thrillbilly picks it up. You're thinking, okay, new chance to make this title worth something. Vacates it to get a shot at the world title at Hard Times 4. Tom Latimer picks it up, vacates it to get a shot at the world's. What is this? This is the TV title under a different name, and now it's Mims. So when does Mims vacate it to get his shot at? Is it 77? I don't know. It's garbage to me.
Well,
yeah, I do agree. Okay, Jay, I'm sorry.
No, and I'll make it quick. You missed the part where Max held the title and held both the men's title and the women's title as TV champion. All right, Jaden, go ahead.
Here's the thing. I think that one of the problems also is the way that they use the signature live events is those titles are never even seen except for maybe once every 4 months, 5 months, or maybe like 4 weeks, 5 weeks. I mean, that's the problem right there too. I would get rid of, if I'm going to have the TV, I get rid of the junior heavyweight. If I want to have the junior heavyweight, I'd have the TV. And I'd probably lean more to, honestly, the junior heavyweight because I think I can do something with it more. But let's say, for argument's sake, we have the TV title. So I'll have the TV title, the women's title, the tag team titles, and the world heavyweight title. That's all I'd have. And I would go to a regular schedule of TV tapings and go back, see if Roku is happy to have them on something and put those signature live events live on Roku, or maybe tape a slight tape delay, like a week or two, so that way they could edit it out any Columbia marching powder spots. But yeah, that's what I think would be maximize the NWA's growth potential, because then they can control the TV tapings better and try to actually monopolize and monetize the signature live events by having them onto this Roku channel and maybe make some advertising revenue on it, because they're not really doing it anyway. Yes, I know it'll probably increase the overall cost, because then the signature live events are actually just that, signature live events, and not TV. But it'll give something that storytelling wise for the TV show to build toward, so then quarterly you could have these signature live events every 3 months to build to it, and then they will mean something and the TV will mean something, and they'll have challengers actually built up with storylines that can mean something that's intelligent, and that way we don't have to wait months to see Rhino or even see Rhino debut. I think Rhino debuted either after the Crockett Cup or just before. I forget how it worked.
No, it was after.
Yeah, it was after the Crockett Cup. So, and if you're going to monopolize on Rhino, if you're going to monopolize on Natalya, if you're going to monopolize on Crazy Steve and Hammerstone and even Jack Vaughn, that's the way to do so, by making these events build up to it and then have it something that you want to see. That's, again, what I think would be best.
Circling back to this episode of Power and it being the debut on Roku, Tim earlier said a B, Rick said a B, Tim said a B minus, Rick said a B. I'm saying about a B. Jaden, what did you grade this episode of Power?
I rated M to the B, M to the B, M to the B, M to the B, M to the B. Bomb. No. Honestly, I only saw what I saw, and the rest of it I was happy when it live. But television-wise, I'll give it a B, because I like the production, and except for when Billy Corgan kind of chased me away with his commentary, I liked most of what I saw, except for some of the segments were stupid, but they were a waste of time. But I'll still give it a B.
I
don't think, though, that it was the right program to put on for the first debut. I think if they wanted it for the first debut, they should have had Rhino, they should have had Natalya.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
Natty should have been the main event of this week's program. And the crazy thing is and Jaden and I were there, this was exactly the matches as they were presented live. Like, they didn't edit this, they didn't cut something and add something here. Putting Natty in the main event on this episode would have been like, whoa, holy crap. People would have popped in to see that.
it would have sucked a lot of people in. I think if people had known that was on, and it would have possibly drawn a new audience to the NWA.
You're absolutely right. If you go on Reddit, well, I don't know why you'd want to go on Reddit, but I've been there. I went there to see if any other non-Americans could find it on Roku, and I found a sea of brethren that were in the same boat as me. If a lot of the comments were, "Oh, the NWA is on Roku," I've never heard of any of these people. Like, those were the top comments that are on there. Oh, I know Trevor Murdoch from way back when, and wasn't Tom Latimer somebody else in TNA or whatever?
Yeah.
If it had been, they're on Roku and it's Natty Neidhart for the NWA Women's Title, really, like, that would have drawn my interest as someone who had strayed away from the product years ago.
And if I can be honest, like, look, there was a lot of talk before the tariff announcements that Tim was going to be at those TV tapings, and I wasn't even 100% on board yet with going to that Crockett Cup. In fact, I wasn't going to go to the Crockett Cup because I knew I was going to be spending 2 weeks in the UK. I'm like, well, I'm not going to spend money to go see this show. I'm sure it'll be good, but we just spent all that money to be in the UK. And then they said Natty Neidhart. And I said, shit.
Yeah.
Shit. I need to go to that because I need to see Natty Neidhart in the NWA. And what if, a WWE wrestler were to win the women's championship? What would that mean for the NWA? That is why I went. That is the sole, yes, I wanted to see Tim. Tim didn't go. I wanted to hang out with Jaden. That was cool. I got to hang out with Chris Dog, got to hang out with Scooby. All of these things were cool. But ultimately, I went to Philadelphia because I wanted to see Natty Neidhart. And she did not disappoint. And it's really baffling to me that Billy Corgan has this opportunity. He's got this program that he's been vying to try to get some forward momentum for. He put a whole year's worth of TV on the X app, where they pay by engagement, not by views, not advertising dollars. They pay by engagement. Are people engaging in your posts? You get compensated. How much? I don't know. So you got an opportunity to finally get this show in front of some real eyeballs on a platform literally made for people to watch, not a social media platform, a platform, a vehicle for video content that people are literally going to see this channel to watch pro wrestling, and you fumble the main event by not having Natty Neidhart or even Rhino. And I just can't believe.
And the buzz that led up to this, that the NWA wasn't even a part of marketing. Like, I don't know if Dave Scooby made up the phrase "the shoved heard around the world," that Josh Barnett Bloodsport, right? When Natty shoved Kenzie, and for a second I went, "Is this legit?" And then it sparked interest, and at least for the NWA's level of where they are and what their reach is, there was more interest, more buzz than anything else. I don't know. How can a guy who's arguably one of the most successful rock and roll stars in the world, and who has promoted this brand, his music brand for decades now with success, how is he so bad at this? I don't get it.
I would have chopped the show up like this. The main event would have been Natalya Neidhart versus Kenzie. I would have had maybe I would have done the same thing with the Battle Royal, because then you're getting some young people over. This is the beginning. But the whole time, stay tuned tonight. Natty Neidhart takes on Kenzie Page for the NWA World Women's Championship. WWE crossover, blah, blah, blah. Little vignettes, little things, promos between them, everything else. And then I would have had another match that could have been if they would have done the slime balls and then where you into the big friendly giants or whatever, the blunt force trauma. the bacon, lettuce, and tomato. That's fine. You can get away with that. You could even get away with, say, maybe the Crazy Steve and Alex Misery versus EC3, because there's still some name value in that match. Crazy Steve has some, EC3 has some, and Peanut Butter Smooth is a sniper's wet dream. But at least there could have been some name value, and then go into that. That gives people something. You got the battle royal and the match with the Blunt Force Trauma and the slime balls to get over young guys, or the slime balls, and they'll be seen in this bigger audience. You get somebody with name value in Crazy Steve and EC3, and then you get that world title that builds something, gives value to that program. And then during that time, they talk about next week the NWA World Heavyweight Championship is on the line against Colby Carino, son of Steve Carino, and Rhino. They build that up for the next week's main event. And then you have something, you use a match to one of the matches that this has the talent to open it, have a match with some name value. And then the next week, Alexander Hammerstone versus Thrillbilly, plus the NWA World TV title is going to be on the line. New champion will be crowned. Build into that. They just can't just put opening matches first and then second matches next and then build up to the main event, because then all the big matches are at the end. So that means there's an overloaded one big thing that happens, and then everything else is just less and less important.
And I think on top of that too, not only does it delay these big moments, but now I've waited this long to see the match, and now you're going to make me wait a couple more weeks for it. And if you were to lead with those heavy hitters, Natty Neihart, Rhino and Colby Carino, Alexander Hammerstone, and then you have the women's tag team title, be the main event for the last show. Now you have time, you've had those 3 weeks to gain credibility with an audience that might not know what the NWA is. They're seeing these stars for the first time, and now they're kind of starting to buy in, and you're building up towards your TV tapings in Tampa. You're building up to the 77th anniversary show, and you could really start getting momentum going. But instead, they literally just presented it as they did the live show, and I feel like that was a huge miscalculation. Because as good as that the show was, the pacing is still going to have to play a role for TV. And I don't know, if I was tuned in for the first time to see this show, I never watched the NWA before, and this was my first episode, I don't know if I would come back for more. There was nothing so over the top great that I was like, oh, I got to see them again.
Yeah, if you're going to draw them in, you got to draw them in with something strong. You guys ever play euchre? Sometimes you lead with the right bower. You just go boom, or at least the left, and maybe that's what it is in this case. But it would be the match I'm most interested in.
Yeah, for sure.
I understand that, but what's Bob Uecker have to do with this?
Just a little inside.
Just a bit outside. Yeah, that was so I mean, again, thought it was a good episode of Power, but I really feel like Billy dropped the ball in how he could have presented it. Now, with that being said, it is what it is. This is the next 3 weeks. We know that come Tampa, Billy isn't on as much commentary. In fact, he takes a back seat. And in the title matches, you have or number one contender matches, you have the champion in the commentary booth. So do you think they're hearing us, Tim? Do you think they're hearing the complaints of the audience, or do you think that they just are trying to see what else will work?
Yeah, they think they just throw it at the wall like a bowl of spaghetti and see if anything sticks. I don't think they listen entirely to us, no.
What about you, Rick? You think they're listening, or you think it's spaghetti on the wall?
I hate to be arrogant or anything, but I've put it out there on Twitter plenty of times and tagged Billy in the NWA, so they very well could be. Have they? Probably not. But but I every time I watch it, I'm there on Twitter, or X, whatever it is these days, complaining about Billy, saying that this is the one thing that really is going to make me change the freaking channel, and they're probably trying to stick something else. Maybe he understands he's not nearly as good as he is. Maybe Danny Deal said, "Listen, dude, you suck," and You're ruining my joke.
I wish Danny Dills would say that. I wish he would say that.
You're ruining my jokes, you know? So, I mean, I don't know. It's, they're probably, I'd like to say they were listening, but at the same time, they're probably just trying something new.
The Buzz Killington of pro wrestling. Who wants to read a book about bridges? Oh.
Joe Galley posted on TikTok, and he said, how about that announce team? And I said, Joe Galley and Danny Dills are great. ... And he responded with like the heart, you know, like, oh, I love it. But like, yeah, the announce team would be great if the president of the company wasn't, you know, here's the thing. I own a business, guys. I own a business. And I understand that there's some things that I excel at and there's some things that I struggle in. I'm not going to go out and try to weld steel on top of steel. I'm not going to try to fabricate a excavator bucket. I'm not going to try to use a grinding disc and clean off a bad weld because I'm not good at that. I'm not trained for that. I don't understand the nuances of that. And I can be good at everything else in my business, but that's not something I'm going to do. I'm going to pay somebody who knows what they're doing to do that. And I don't understand why, you know, Billy Three Hats needs to try to have his hand in everything. Be the president, sign the checks, and have the faith in the people that you've hired to do the jobs that you need them to do. If you want to be on the commentary, sure, come out for one match. That's it.
There's plenty of times watching him over the years, whether the NWA, whether he's in Impact, that he comes off as thinking he's better than he actually is at a lot of stuff involving the world of professional wrestling. You own the company. Just sign the checks, let everybody else do the job, including booking, you know, but just focus on being a rock star and let other people run the company the proper way, like a professional wrestling company should be run.
Dog isn't the biggest company in professional wrestling, but you guys never see Dr. Zirconium put himself on commentary or putting himself out there. And that's because that guy is the black hole of charisma. You know, there is a reason that I do most of the talking for the NWA because I know how to do it. Listening to that guy is like listening to somebody swallowing a mouthful of marbles covered with battery acid. So there's a reason he knows what he's good at. He promotes the wrestling events. He gets the people in charge. He has the people that are good at what they do, except for Dave Dahl, and he puts them where the spot that's going to maximize their ability. So, you know, that's what I think Billy Corgan needs to pick up from Dr. Lauren Zirconium.
I mean, I think he's not winning anyone over. No one's changed their opinion on him on commentary. He should be the ambassador. He should be the brand. He should be out there, you know, shaking babies and kissing hands, like whatever it is, but not commentary. When it's a big title match, he should come out there and announce it, or at the very least be in the ring to hold up the belt.
You're going too far. I'm sorry.
Wait, what's that?
You're going too far. I'm sorry. Like, he should be in the background as the owner. You know what I mean? Like, this is just all personal opinion. I'm not trying to stomp on anything you're saying, but he's a rock star. In my personal opinion, watching, he doesn't really know the first thing about professional wrestling outside of being an investor in Impact for a number of years, where he lost a crap ton of money, and of course buying those 3 letters, the NWA, when it was in poor shape. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, and I think that every time he comes out, he's on commentary, he makes a television appearance, doing something. He's just kind of hurting the brand in a little bit. Like, he seems kind of, I don't know, nerdy in a way that it doesn't come off properly. And sure, should he go to, say, television meetings, etc.? Should he be at the shows? Yeah, but he should be, you know, the guy that's trying to promote the brand, just not on the television show, or you know, maybe Regis and Kelly, or whatever the hell the show is today. You know what I mean? Like, doing promos and stuff like that. or local radio, busted open, stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's he shouldn't be out there as much or even being a part of the television show.
I disagree slightly. Here's my problem with Billy Corgan. Billy Corgan, as he presented, is a skinny, geeky-looking schlub in a hoodie that doesn't look like anything of any kind of importance or significance. I would use Billy Corgan if I was going to use him. He would come out in every television taping in his rock star outfit with a rock star entrance. You know, when the Muppets had Billy Corgan, they didn't have the schlub in the hat and the hoodie and looking like he's a cancer patient. They had Billy Corgan come out as a rock star, and it was a big deal in the Muppets. They did the Dr. Mayhem and Dr. Teeth and Electric Mayhem or whatever it was called. Mm-hmm. That's what I'd have him come in. I'd have him talk about what's going to happen on Power, and then I'd have him leave, and you don't see him again. Because right away, if he's there, anybody who might not know there's an NWA or that he owns it might recognize Billy Corgan. I'm like, all right, what's this guy doing? Oh, he's coming out looking this. Is he going to sing? Oh, he's talking about some professional wrestling. Let me see what's going to happen. Because, you know, that's what he is, his persona, his presence. The goofy looking Cenobite that he is right now, it just doesn't work. It does not come across as somebody that needs to be seen on television. Hell, I'd be happy with Billy Corgan, Smashing Pumpkins, Homer Simpson, Smiling Confused, or whatever it was.
Homer Simpson, Confused. I remember that. That was funny. So, I guess the next question is, like, do we think that the NWA is going to build off this momentum? Do you think this is a positive step? Do you think we're going to see something bigger and better out of the NWA, or is it going to be business as usual come next set of tapings?
I mean, we got to see. Only time will tell, really. I mean,
then you think the same thing?
No.
You didn't have to say it in so many words, but I agree. I think it's a positive step. Will they capitalize on the momentum? Probably not. I think we're going to still see signature live events that play on TV 9 months later. And so any momentum gain is automatically lost. And I think there's going to be still poor decisions on pacing of these matches and the importance of it and stupid skits. And you didn't ask me, by the way, if you think Billy Corgan's listening to us. At my former job, we had this one woman who was in charge of the operations of the place. And whenever the person who was in charge of sales tried giving her ideas because things weren't going correctly, she would ignore it and often do the complete opposite out of spite because she didn't like somebody telling her how to do her job. I have a feeling that's Billy Corgan.
Well, I disagree with the three of you guys. I think this is step one of the new plan. I feel like now that they're on a platform where they're going to be monetized in that they're getting paid for advertising, as well as being on Wrestling Central, which means they're able to monetize their older content. I feel like this is a step in the right direction for them. We've already seen that. I feel like they've addressed some of the issues from the last Signature Live event to this Signature Live event. The backstage skits are not nearly as cringeworthy. I don't feel like anything that they presented this week I'd be embarrassed about. Like one time I tried to do a watch along on TikTok. I tried to get people to watch NWA with me on TikTok. And of course, we've got these segments where they're at an auto dealership with a guru, mental health guru, and I feel like he was trying to get in, Kenzie Page's pants. Tiffany Nieves' pants. It was very uncomfortable. There was nothing cringy about this episode. Was it great? No. But they had the whole part with Joe Kazana trying to perhaps steal one of the Crossfire wrestlers and try to get him on his side. I feel like there could be something that they're building towards on that might play out on TV, might be interesting. All in all, I still, and I am a hopeless optimist, but I do feel like this is the next step for the NWA. I feel like they have heard the concerns. We know from the Tampa tapings that they've changed up things a little bit. We're going to continue to see some of the past names return, and we're going to see them take it to the next level. So, God willing, here's hoping. I think this is. I think the NWA is leveraged right now in a position they haven't been since they initially debuted back in 2019. So I guess that's going to do it for us tonight, because we're rapidly approaching that 2-hour mark, and we don't want to go longer than 2 hours. Of course, you can see Timmy Wood it's Mondays, right?
It is Mondays, 6:30 EDT for the other Alliance guys. We look at NWA territories sometimes. We'll probably go on another tour around the territories. Jeremy's doing some TNA instead of UWN these days. Dave's doing some fantasy booking. Always got some really interesting stuff to kind of anchor up the show. And, I just ride on their coattails. It's a lot of fun.
I was enjoying the tag team talk that you guys were doing. I hate Mount Rushmores because I always feel like every generation there's 4 guys that you could talk about. Yeah. But I felt like you guys did a pretty good job with that. And it's funny, you guys did that, and then out of the blue, some of my friends who just kind of watch wrestling a little bit were like, "Hey, who's on the Mount Rushmore of tag team wrestling? Like, what the hell? You guys go watch my podcast. Not mine. Go watch Tim. Go watch Scoob. They could do a great job. Jeremy and the 3 of them do a great job of covering that. But yeah, you guys should check that out. I make it a part of my ride home. Willie, I can't read that joke, man. That's a tasteless joke. I can't do that one.
You want me to read it?
No, I don't want to read that one. I don't like the connotation of that one. Rick and Pro Wrestling Wire, where can folks watch you what's coming up next for you?
Go look on YouTube, subscribe, please. I'm not that far from 3,000 subscribers. I need you all to go out there and help me if you haven't already. I really don't have much coming up. Of course, I'm in the middle of doing the Super Clash series. It's coming up the 40th anniversary of the very first Super Clash. So we did number 1 about a month ago. I was supposed to record number 2, but my internet went out last week. So hopefully coming up next week, I will have some stuff. Jay just appeared on the podcast. It was a very fun episode as we talked NWA Power as well. Let's see, what else do we have? I'm in the middle of booking Scott McGee, legendary professional wrestler, from the area, he's known for his work in Jim Crockett Promotions, Championship Wrestling from Florida, and of course some WWF work in the 1980s, early 1980s it is. So, and he's did some work in the Pacific Northwest as well. So we kind of ran into each other accidentally through Facebook as he was commenting on a Matt Bourne photo I had actually posted that, and we started a conversation. So he's going to be appearing, I think, hopefully next week. I don't know when when the date and time is for that yet. I'm going to be away until next Tuesday. I'll be in North Carolina as of tomorrow. So I'm going to another wedding, Jay. Another. This will be
my invited to this one.
I mean, if you want to come down, I need some friends in North Carolina, so meet me for some drinks and some food, please, for the love of God. This is my 5th wedding this year that I'm attending, and when I say I'm done with weddings this year, I am absolutely done. So hopefully I won't get invited to any more for the rest of the year.
I thought it was supposed to be 4 weddings and not a funeral.
No, oh boy, Jaden.
I knocked on wood for you, Rick.
It's coming.
He knocked on Tim Wood.
It's the realest wood I know, right there.
There you go. Well, yeah, I don't know when anything's going to be happening. It's just a very busy week ahead up for me. So as I'll be on vacation, pretty much. So
whatever you do, Rick, don't go in Charlotte Airport, which is still the nicest airport I've been to, and you go woo because they'll look at you weird.
You're gonna laugh, but I'm driving down there with my family, so
okay.
It's gonna be an 8-hour drive. I am not flying, so 8 hours. I've driven 12 hours before. It was the furthest I've driven, and then back in the same day. So bless me. Pray for me, gentlemen. Pray for me.
You used to do it every weekend of wrestling. Carolinas were definitely, especially South Carolina's place. We worked a lot, and we used to do the hours, wrestle, and then come home.
Well,
and they go to work the next morning.
I'm hoping to find some local wrestling on Saturday or Sunday, whichever, during the daytime if I can locate some. So I got to talk to one of my buddies that's out in Wilmington, so that usually is up on that stuff.
Make sure you find a Bojangles to stop in at, because those spicy crispy biscuit sandwiches are pretty choice.
I went there when we went to Virginia a couple years ago, and I got to tell you, that place is awesome. That place is great.
I like it better than Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Did you guys ever, I mean, I don't know if you all ever been down south, but there's a place called Cookout, which is like a fast food place, but it's all like actual barbecue stuff that you would have in a cookout. It's really awesome, dude. I'm telling you.
Now you're making me hungry.
Yeah, I got to eat.
Same here. Jaden, what do you got going on with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators?
Well, let's see. Our next event is Saturday night, August 30th at the Chamberlain Student Center in Rowan University. We are coming for Battle of the Profs. Dog did not name it. We're going to have a Henry Rowan Cup crowned then. Dog hates tournaments, so that's going to be something that's interesting. But we're having a tournament to crown the Henry Rowan Cup. And then there's matches currently signed. World Wrestling Grand Prix champion David Goldie, Dog champion Vinny the Fixer, Dog Tag Team champions Primal Fear, and World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's champion Valerie Verman. She will be taking on Christina Marie in a rematch. The first ever women's match in Rowan University was Christina Marie versus Valerie Verman, and now it's going to be a match for the World Wrestling Grand Prix Women's Championship. So that's going to be something I'm looking forward to. Nick Camarado, who is a Rowan graduate, is going to be there, and so is Rick Titus. A lot of great professional wrestlers will be there, and of course, Daredevil Dave Dahl will be there too.
Nice.
I once heard J. Cal yell, "Dave Dahl is my favorite athlete."
Dave Dahl is what
I may have video footage of it.
That is true. He does say that, but he is like he's like to the rest of the world what Carson Drake is to, or Brian Idol is to Jay.
Wow.
Did you see the daggers that were like glared at me after I said it?
It was just
like 3 people just went, "What the hell?" And I was like, "Oh my God." I'm in New Jersey and I might not make it home.
Jaden, what was the date of that event again? I said event. Hey.
Yeah, it's August 30th at the Sacred Heart. It is not Sacred Heart Church, at the Chamberlain Student Center. It's exclusively to the freshman class of Rowan University. They have the freshman class come in a week earlier before the rest of them to get acclimated, and it's part of the Rowan After Hours program. So to keep them from going out and getting plastered and destroying Glassboro, they have various events throughout the entire week to keep them entertained, including the first time that Dog Pro Wrestling will be there. And if this Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators event is successful, it will be something that will continue. If you're looking for the next one that's paid to go to, that will be Saturday night, October 18th at the Sacred Heart Church, located at 103 4th Street in beautiful, historic Riverton, New Jersey. Currently signed is Timothy Zabisco, son of the living legend Larry Zabisco.
Wow.
I'm just appalled by that cat, and it's I think your cat's getting ready to do something to you, Tim.
No, he's a good boy.
Let's keep it live on YouTube until it does. So.
Yeah. You know, we haven't had a cat guest star since DK's cat.
Yeah.
During the Blog Talk Radio days.
Blog Talk Radio. Ooh. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Of course, the programming schedule will repeat itself, and the beatings will continue until morale improves. And until next time, we'll see you at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.